Hey y'all, happy Sunday. Hope everything is going well for you and yours. This is the portion of the show where we let YouTube send out the notifications via social media, let folks know that the broadcast is getting ready to start. We'll sit here and we'll count down the next 2 minutes before I push that button and go live. If you happen to be watching this on replay, go ahead and scrub past this graphic until you see my smiling face. If you have any questions and you're joining us today in the live chat, feel free to go ahead and add those questions to the live chat now, and we'll get to them in due course during this live Q&A session. So, sit back, relax, grab a beverage, and we'll get going in about 30 seconds. Hey y'all, good afternoon. It's officially afternoon now here. Okay, before we get going, let me do a little bit of cleanup and housework and whatever you want to call it. This is new to me. I've done a couple of tests with my podcast partner, Eloy, but if I'm real echoey, please let me know. I've got to work on it a bit yet. You'll notice that I'm zoomed way out to get a little bit better view of the shop. I can see I still have to adjust my camera a little bit. Of course, I can't reach it, so you're going to see lights up above me. So if you have any, if there are any audio issues or video issues, please let me know so I can get this straightened out, because this is brand new to me. So, good afternoon. How, what should we talk about? Man, this has been a long time coming, and I still have a lot of work to do, but it feels good to be out here versus back in the crummy room, back in the back bedroom, because now that finally means that I can tear that room apart, get it organized, get it fixed up. That is actually supposed to be my workroom. Do final assembly there and various and sundry other little things, but I can't get anything else done because my desk, my computer, and all that other good stuff is in the middle of the road. So, oh man. Well, let's see now. This morning's video was long anticipated and took me a while to get going on, simply because of money. I mean, you guys have been more than generous with the super chats and the donations and watching the videos and sharing the videos and everything else. But the Lindsay curse strikes again. When I go to shop for something, the price is going to be outrageous and it'll drop right after I buy it. So let's get into that subject real quick. First, couple of questions I got already are, why T111 siding inside? And the easy answer is cost. I knew going in that I wanted some solid sheet material on the walls. I didn't want drywall. And that was simply because I plan on hanging various things, cabinets and such, from the walls. And I wanted something solid to screw to. My initial thought was 3/4 inch plywood. Then I thought, no, that'd be too expensive and too heavy and just totally not necessary. So then I thought, well, how about 1/2 inch sanded Douglas fir plywood? And so I was going to go with 1/2 inch plywood, but I don't have to tell you what happened to sheet good prices. Now, right here locally, and to put things into perspective, I have a mill about 1.5 miles away from me that makes the veneer for plywood. That's what they do. They huge robotic lathes that peel a standard Douglas fir log into the veneers used for interior and exterior grade plywood. Then the plywood plant is another 20 miles down the road where they press and cut the plywood. Here locally, 1/2 inch sanded Douglas fir plywood hit $70 a sheet. And I thought there's absolutely no way. I need minimum of 12 sheets. So I waited and I started looking at options. And on the retail level, T111 started looking more and more attractive. Now, I had a few people ask me why I didn't go with OSB, oriented strand board. I thought about it for about 13 seconds and then discounted it because I just don't like the look of it. You can make it look nice, but it's a lot of work to get rid of that textured surface that I just don't like. It to me, I know it's a shop. It's not my living room. But to me, OSB in a shop looks like you're half stepping. And that's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. And I don't mean to cheese off anybody. I know a lot of folks have OSB up in their shop, and that's great. I just didn't want that. I have to think about video as well. So T111 started looking a lot better. But even then, at the time, it was $60 a sheet. And so I started shopping around and looking around, and I found a local lumber yard that turns out is about 1.25 miles away from me. And they had shop grade T111 for $40 a sheet. So that's almost half the price of a sheet of 1/2 inch plywood. So I said, okay, that's what I'm going to go with. So that's why I used the T111 siding. Number one was cost. Number two, I like it. It looks decent. I really like the look of it in here. So that's why I went with the exterior siding inside the shop. I think it looks cool. And in fact, I wish I would have done it on the ceiling, but I fell into a deal with the plywood for the ceiling, so I couldn't turn it down. I am that Scottish. I will drive an extra mile or two to save $3, especially when I need 12 or 13 sheets of something. Okay, getting a lot of questions about the electrical chases that I'm building in. And the main reason that I'm adding all of these electrical chases and what have you is because I do plan on eventually adding a lean-to. It would be over here on this end on the back of the shed outside. I'm going to add a lean-to, and that's where my compressor and my dust collection is going to stay because it doesn't need to be in here taking up space. And I can better soundproof out there than I can in here. I'm not worried about thermal breaks or any kind of moisture sealing as for that lean-to. So I don't know which dust collection system or which compressor I'm going to get yet. So I wanted to be able to run wiring from the front up here with the electrical panel on my left all the way to the back end without trying to plan for what type of circuit I need. I mean, one compressor I'm looking at needs a 40 amp circuit, one needs a 30 amp circuit. So I would rather be able to take these panels like the one behind me. I'd rather be able to take that panel down and run wiring up there on the surface of the rafters than put that panel back up, then try to snake it through and figure out, different ways of getting wiring to and from. Now, let's see here. Brooks Martin wanted to know, will snaking cables through the spray foam insulation be easy? Yes, because I can dig it away, cut it away with a razor blade and or X-Acto knife or utility knife or whatever. It is still urethane foam, and I can easily cut channels into it to run more cables or wiring or what have you. That's not really a factor. And I'm going to try something here. I don't know how well it's going to focus, but we'll see. If we look up at, okay, there we go. If we look up at this chase right here, let's see now. Here, okay. There we go. If we look at the electrical chase right here, that is, I have the spacer up on top, and then I have this siding right here. That automatically gives me a 5/8 of an inch gap in that area there that I can run wiring through. If I need to bigger than that, I can add another spacer. Come on, Mark, get your hand up there. I can add another spacer up on top and on the bottom and move that panel outward a little bit. So I have built in the space to do that. And the wiring will basically go from this electrical chase running along in front of me here back to that corner, and then back along the wall into that that lean-to where the compressor will sit and the dust collector will sit. Now I will have to drill holes through the wall to run ducting and run hardline through for the compressor. But doing the electrical chases this way was just an easy way to add wiring when I need it. Not to mention adding the cables for cameras and microphones, things of that nature. Now, I'm going to play around with the camera again here and bring it down to get rid of the glare from those lights. Nah, not enough. So, yeah, that's basically what this was for, was I'm trying to future-proof. And on the back wall back here, I would like to eventually get a mini split for heat and AC. And if I do, it's going to get mounted on that wall back there because I have a large area out here that I'm kind of using for outdoor lumber storage and what have you. And right up in this area here would be a great place to mount the mini split control system. I don't need a big one, 12,000 BTU would be more than adequate for this. And I have to give Bob Lee from Bob Lee's Wood Shop right here. Thank you, Bob. He's my electrical Obi-Wan. He's the guy that I researched all this with. And he's the guy I talked about these electrical chase panels with. I did drill through the rafters on the first couple of electrical receptacles I put on this wall for 240 volt and 120 volt. But I quickly got discouraged with that because I was just basically turning those rafters into Swiss cheese, and I didn't want to do that. So he's the one that suggested the electrical chases, and I kind of ran with it. I made them bigger than they needed to be. So there's that. But thank you, Bob. He's the man. He's the guy. The guy was an electrician for over 30 years. He retired a couple years ago, but yeah. Let's see here. We got going. Yeah, leave it to Mark to get fancy with the pinstriped walls. Yeah, that's me. And they're absolutely bare. They're the only thing on these walls right now are the electrical receptacles. So let's see here. We had another question. All right. John says, how can you add circuits in the shop with the walls foamed? Now, if you mean right here on the panel, because I've already talked about the electrical chases and being able to run wiring there. If you mean right here on the panel, I can take the panel cover off, and this one wall panel around the electrical panel is mounted with screws. The rest of them are nailed up with 2.5-inch nails. This one is mounted with screws. I can take that entire wall panel down and fish wire or feed wire out of the panel and up into these chases to go wherever they need to go. I'm trying to future-proof as much as as much as I possibly can. Something that I didn't think about, and something that just kind of came about by accident, is the electrical chase here, for instance, because it sits 1.5 inches down from the ceiling. That gives me an additional place to put camera mounts. And I have 4 camera mounts on their way right now. When I get this finally finished, I'm going to be doing a lot more project videos out here. I'm going to shoot my screen capture videos in the house just because, comfort. But I'm going to be doing a lot more project videos. There are going to be a lot more 2-part projects because I'm going to design things, then come out and actually cut it to show the entire process. We have new people getting into the CNC hobby. Let me turn that off. I forgot to do that. We have new people getting into the CNC hobby every day. And one of the more popular requests I get is, okay, you showed how to design it. Now, how do I get the design out of Aspire or V-Carve and into the machine? So I need to show that. We've had some questions about Z-zero position, and I'll get to your question in just a minute. And I want to do that. I want to show actually doing all of this. And then showing just different techniques. And I want to work with different materials. I've got some ideas up here that I haven't seen on YouTube. That's not to say they don't exist. I just haven't seen them yet. And working with materials that are going to be a little bit different. So, being able to change camera angles and having 6 mounting locations here, plus I'm going to build a jib crane on bearings to run front to rear. So there will be an overhead trolley system in here, or track system rather, not trolley. So it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be some different angles. That's been my main problem in the old shop shed, was the fact that I basically had one place I could put a camera. So there were a lot of static shots with the tripod sitting right in front of the machine. I could move it to the right or I could move it to the left, but that was about it. And I want to be able to take different angles so that you get a better idea as to what the machine's doing, what I'm doing, and how this all comes together. So that's going to be mainly in the new year. I won't be able to get to that point before I put the channel on hiatus, A, for all the dental work I'm having done, and B, for the holidays. So that I've got the rest of this year's videos planned out thanks to your suggestions. But after that, I'm going to be getting in here into the shop and doing a lot more project videos. So let's see. Let me get back up here. We had a couple of questions about a couple of things. Let me scroll back up and find them. Oh boy, let's go here. Come on. Okay, now I went past it. Somebody had a question about Z-zero position. Let me find your question. This part of this is still not easy. Okay, here we go. G&M Taylor, can you touch on Z-zero position? The choices are obvious, but what is the advantage or disadvantage of the choice? Okay, that is basically, let me go ahead and share screen, and I'll get into Aspire here. I believe this is what you are talking about. And that is in job setup over here, the Z-zero position being the material surface or the machine bed. Just to put it out there, I almost always use material surface. In fact, I've only used machine bed once, but that's just me. This is, I'm going to say it's kind of a personal preference thing for the most part. A lot of people like to baby their spoil board. This is one reason. A lot of people like to baby their spoil board. So if you set your Z-zero position to the machine bed, and then you set your Z-zero outside on the machine to the machine bed, when you cut your project, the deepest it will go is down to the machine bed surface. I know Peter Pasuelo does that. He doesn't like to cut up his spoil board. I personally don't mind. A spoil board is cheap. However, that's not the only reason. Another reason that you would set your Z-zero position to the machine bed is if you're using a jig or fixture to hold the work. And this is especially true if that jig or fixture has a metal bottom and you don't want that bit to cut all the way through and into that metal, or nuts or bolts or what have you that hold your jig together. By setting your Z-zero to the machine bed, when you cut through, it will cut down. The deepest it'll go is that zero position, unless you put in the tool path that you wanted to cut deeper. So that's a couple of instances when you would use the machine bed versus the material surface. Now, this is for CNC routers. For a CNC mill, the machine bed versus material surface is more critical because, again, you're generally securing work with clamps or in a vise or in some sort of fixture that could potentially damage a bit if you were to hit it, not to mention damaging that expensive fixture. So on a mill, when you're milling metal, you have to be a lot more observant and a lot more accurate than me, a home hobbyist out here carving signs and cutting shelf brackets and jewelry boxes for kids and what have you. So the general rule of thumb when it comes to machining on a mill is if you are carving down into the material surface, if you're milling into the material surface to a specific depth, you set to the machine material surface. If you are cutting through to a specific depth, you go with the machine bed. So you would set your Z-zero to the machine bed if the depth of the material is critical. You would set to the material surface if the surface is critical. I hope I got that right. I'm not a metal guy, but that's what I've been able to gather from my talking with machinists and what have you. So if you're, for instance, if I'm V carving, I set my Z-zero at the material surface so that it knows where to start and it can carve a specific depth that it needs to carve. If I'm cutting all the way through the material and I don't want that bit to go any further than my zero, I would set to the machine bed. So that's a basic synopsis. And just before anybody asks, you have to select one or the other. You can't have in the same file, you can't have some tool paths set the Z-zero at the certain material surface and other tool paths set to the machine bed. You may be able to do that with sheets, but I haven't gotten into that yet. That's one of the things that I will explore. So I hope that answers that question, if that helps you out. Let's see here. Excuse me. Real quick, like John wants to know, can you explain XY datum offset? Again, that is in the job setup that we just left. The XY datum offset is normally, this is where either one of the corners of a piece of work material or the center of the piece of work material where you set your XY0. Now, the XY datum offset is mainly used for if you have a fixture. For instance, if I have a fixture, and I do plan on doing a video on this. This is one of them that I'm going to do. If I have a fixture that's holding a piece of material, let's say I have a bunch of little oval pieces, oval plaques, and I want to cut out a bunch of ovals, just batch cut them out, and I have 100 of them sitting here. Now I want to put them into a little fixture to hold them down with clamps, and I want to engrave something on the back of these. I can set up to do a production run of nothing but V carving, something real quick, and I've done this. I can set up the fixture, set my X, Y, and Z-zero to the corner of that fixture. Then using that offset, I can put the position of the center of that oval using that offset that tells VCarve where to go. So I'm setting my XY0 way over here, but it knows that offset is so many inches over in X and so many inches up in Y. This is where it's going to carve, even though my zero's down here. And that gives you a little bit of freedom to where it's going to clear clamps and clear screws and things of that nature. By setting the zero over here, maybe I've got clamps in position to where I can't get down in there. You know, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because if you can't get it down in there, how are you going to cut? But trust me, when I demonstrate, you'll see what I mean. That's one of the videos that I'm going to do. So let's see. Let's go here. Blue Knight says, I did AC in my shop and had a lot of trouble with the filter collecting dust all the time. How are you going to resolve this problem? I'm doing that right now. I have a little portable AC unit that you can't see here. It's one of those freestanding room AC units that I got a few years back. And I'm using that out here right now. Now, fortunately, it's not warm enough. I don't need to use it today, so we don't have that noise to deal with. And yes, the filter clogs up. Basically, I have to blow it out a lot. The mini split, that's the great thing about the mini split is all that's outside. Now there may be a filter inside, but for the most part, it's blowing air in and not sucking air out, I believe. And that's the beauty of a mini split. The compressor and condenser / evaporator, depending upon whether you're heating or cooling, are all outside. And it's just the head unit with the fan, the control unit with the fan inside. So that's really going to be a big help. Trust me. Michael Mazalik also has another excellent point about the XY datum offset. He has a laser. He has a laser XY pointer attached to his gantry. Now, do you use that for your XYZ or your XY0, Michael? If you've got a laser, your spindle is here and your laser is mounted to the side of it. You can zero using that spindle, but your laser is off to the side. You can set your XY offset that way. Now, in Michael's case, with a XY pointer, you can get little laser pointers. They're not expensive. I had one on my K40 laser when I had it. I think they're like $6, $7. You can get a little laser pointer that shoots a crosshair. And you get that lined up so it's perfectly square with the travel of your gantry so that the vertical crosshair is in line with the Y and the horizontal crosshair is in line with the X and running perfectly parallel with those axes. And you can move that gantry over to where that crosshair is right on the corner of your work, that laser crosshair. Well, your laser's mounted off to the side. That's where that offset comes in. You put down, for instance, if your laser is over 1/2 inch away from the center point of your spindle tip, or 2 inches or 3 inches or what have you, you'd set that offset in X so that your control software knows that when you zero everything out with that laser crosshair on the corner of your work, the spindle is actually that 1/2 inch or 2 inch or 3 inches over here. So when you start cutting, everything isn't shifted over that distance. So it'll make sense when I do the demonstration. Trust me on this. Okay. So let's see. Lewis Denton, doesn't Z-zero require negative math? You mean Z-zero to the machine bed? It can. It just depends. But if you draw everything up with that setup then go calculate your tool path, you should be right on. And a lot of people don't mind rather with negative math. So let me go back up here and see what's going. Okay, Dave Blackburn wants to know, speaking of future-proofing, are you going to use French cleats for your cabinets and such? The jury's still out. I'm not sure. I may on some things and I may not. Now, I'm not going to load the shop up full of cabinets. It's still a small shop. And I only have 6-foot walls over here in the corners. After I got everything put together, I have it's about 73 inches from the floor up to the the bottom edge of the electrical chase. So I do plan on putting some cabinets in. I'm going to have, right now I'm working with temporary furniture in here. I say furniture, I got one table. But I do plan on building all of the furniture, uh, cutting it on the CNC, which is going to be another video series, to include some wall cabinets, because I do want some things mounted on the wall, but I'm not going to load it up with a lot. I may go with French cleats just so I can move things around as my workflow develops. But I'm not going to have a lot, because I know me, cabinets become catch-alls. I have another 6 foot by 12 foot shed that's going to be moving up closer to the shop here when I put in a privacy fence and drive gate down at this end, right where the old shop shed is sitting right now. So a lot of my tools are going to be stored out there, and it's nothing for me to walk over to the other shed. It's no big deal. So I'm going to be using some French cleats, but not exclusively French cleats. Yeah, yes, I do. Let's see. Lewis Denton wants to know, can you use Vectric for doing simple floor plan designs? You can if you want. I tend to use Google SketchUp. Well, it's not Google SketchUp anymore, but my old version is. I tend to use SketchUp, but you can draw anything in the Vectric software. Heck, that mustache logo you see, the sunglasses and mustache, I drew that up in VCarve, exported it as I think it was a SVG file, brought it into Inkscape, and then added color to it. So I know how to use the Vectric, so that's what I did. It's basically, going to be easy to do if you pay attention to certain things. But I tend to draw floor plans and everything. Like I modeled this entire shed in SketchUp as it was being built and as I was adding things. And that's how I checked on clearances and this, that, and the other. But sure, you can do simple floor plans with VCarve, Aspire, Cut 2D. Aaron, hopefully when you get everything, it'll cut down on that echo I hear. Yeah, we're working on the echo, because right now it's just an empty thing. All you see in here, what you see is what you get. There's my table saw, and I've got the table that this laptop is sitting on, the tripod the camera's on, me in the chair, and my little AC unit. That's about it. So it's nothing but bare walls. So the sound just echoes all over the place. So I've also got to work a little bit on lighting, but that's okay. Job lighting is perfect. It's just, if you look at the camera where I've got to look, I got a big black place right in here. You can't see my eyes. You can't see where I'm looking or nothing like that. So I've got to put a reflector up here to kind of reflect and bounce some light. Let's see here. Get back up here and let's see. I'm trying to find other questions. Thank you for the compliments on the shop. Thank you. I do appreciate it. This has been a lot of work for an old man. John Thompson, are you going to show a shot of the floor? I can. I mean, it's a floor. It's already dusty, and I've already had to sweep it out a couple of times. Let's pivot. And I don't think you're going to see a lot, because there's my mic stand. But there is the floor. There's the baseboard molding I made the other day, day before yesterday. And it is a product called G-Floor. Get my sorry tail out of the way. I haven't put anything on the doors because eventually they're going to go away. I've never liked shed doors, so I'm going to be building proper doors with door jambs and thresholds and the whole thing. But the flooring is a product called G-Floor. It's made for garages and shops. It is pretty pricey, but it came very, very highly recommended, and I like it. Now, having said that, it is a vinyl product. I was going to bring in a piece of it and show it off. I'll do that next week. It's a vinyl product, but it's a laminated vinyl product. The top layer is PVC. Then there's a fabric layer inside, and then a layer of flooring vinyl. And it's all laminated together, high pressure and what have you. I bought the pattern called miniature coin or mini coin. They're basically little 3/4 inch circles that stand, let's see, the thickness of the whole flooring is 90 mils and the background is 70 mils. So they stand 20 mils proud of the surface. And I can roll around my chair. I can roll around the table saw just fine. Everything rolls great. But it's tough. It's made for garages. It's chemical resistant. And it was pricey, but I think it's well worth it in the long run. And I pressed the easy button. This is foreshadowing for the next video in the series. I pushed the easy button and I had it installed. I called an installer, paid him to do it. And watching him and his helper install this floor, I'm glad I did, because there is no way possible I could have done this by myself. So I'm glad I went ahead and pushed the easy button on that one. So let's see. Dave Blackburn says, yeah, sometimes I find that after using things for a while, I want to change things. Exactly my point. And that's why I want movable camera angles. I want to make certain before I commit to bolting something to the wall, which eventually I will. I've got to think and future proof. For instance, this track can't go up in the center. It's got to go off to the side a little bit, close to the lights on this side of the room. And that's just simply so I can get up into these panels up in the ceiling and add wiring down the center if I want to do that. So, Jack Matson, thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. You guys are absolutely fantastic. That's why I love y'all. Let's see. John wants to know, whoops, here it is. Is the flooring oil resistant? Yes. But just like any other flooring, you'll want to clean that up just because it's a mess and you don't want to slip. But yes, it is oil and gasoline resistant. It was made for garages. So let's see. I have a cement floor in my shop. Does G Floor give any thermal insulation? No, it's too thin. It's 90 mils thick. Now, if you use their recommended adhesives, and you don't have to use adhesive with this, you can just lay it out. And they have trim edges that you can get so it lays out like a giant floor mat. I didn't want that. If you glue it down with adhesive, it does become a moisture barrier. So a vapor barrier, rather. That's why I went with gluing it down. One of the reasons. The other reason is I didn't want to be tripping over the front edges or any kind of a center ridge, center seam cover. So the installer, when he laid it down, he did the correct type of seaming and everything, and it looks great. So Benjamin, not going to try to pronounce your last name. Have you done a video of making a drawing and make it into a 3D image like Design and Make from Vectric? No, I have not. However, this is the perfect segue. The man you want to talk to, the man you want to subscribe to, the man you want to watch like a hawk is Michael Mazalik, who is in the chat right now. And this afternoon at 2 Pacific, 2 Pacific, yes, 5 Eastern, he's doing the second video in his series on taking the Chief Flight Nurses badge, Air Force Chief Flight Nurses badge, just an image, and creating the 3D shapes from that to make that 3D model. Now, this is part 2. Part 1 was last week, but Michael has an entire series of videos, and the series is growing, expanding. It's very, very good. Michael is your 3D guy. He's my 3D guru. And I learn more from every video of his than I have ever learned. So much so that it starts swimming around, you know. So there is a link in the description of this video right now to the video that he's going to be premiering this afternoon at 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern on YouTube. And the link is in the description of this video. When we're done here, go ahead over to that video, click on his name down in the, right. Okay, you're subscribed to his channel. He's the guy to find. Believe me, he has forgotten more about Aspire in 3D modeling than I've learned yet. I'm a major, major fan. And he's just a good guy. That's all there is to it. And I support the good guys, believe me. So let's see. Martin Pearson says 90 millimeters is over 3.5 inches thick. I'm 9 mils, 90 mils. And let's get the definition. 90 mils. Bump, bump, bump. A mil is 1,000th of an inch. So that's 0.09 inches. So let's go ahead and go 0.09 inches in millimeters. 2.286 millimeters thick is what this flooring is. So let's see. Yeah, John Lyons threw that in there, and then you kind of came back, corrected yourself. Need to wash your ears. Yeah, well, so do I. So that's why I wear a headset. Between too many years in the Army and firing rifles and working on a flight line, I'm lucky to be hearing myself. Okay, let's see. Let me get back up here and see if there were any other. Okay, Blue Knight wants to know, did you put the new floor right on top of the plywood floor? Without giving away too much of the next video on the shop, I put down, okay, stop, back up, regroup. The floor is 3/4 inch pressure treated plywood. I also put down a 5 millimeter thick underlayment. Then the flooring, and I did the underlayment just to stagger seams and gaps and things like that. All the gaps were caulked with silicone for waterproofing, for keep moisture from coming up through the floor. When the floor was built, it was insulated. There's 2 inches of rigid foam insulation in the floor. Then all the seams were caulked and everything in the plywood floor, all the gaps. And then I put down a 5 millimeter underlayment. Then I put the flooring on top of that. So yes and no. Let's see. Let me get back here. And I think I addressed that one. I did address that one. Let me go back up. Okay, Brooks Martin says, Mark, can you talk about what other software you do to do your designs? If I'm going to be cutting it on the CNC, I design it all in Aspire. And before I had Aspire, I designed it in VCarve Pro. That's the only thing I use. And the main reason for that is because I find that the more software you use, the greater the potential to have conflicts and have issues. I know people who are well versed in AutoCAD, and they design everything in AutoCAD because that's what they've been using forever. And then they'll export as a DXF and bring it into VCarve. But then they have all the associated cleanup and everything that goes along with it. Personally, I designed it in VCarve. Now I design it in Aspire. That eliminates any errors for different conversion processes and loss of data or what have you. I mean, it's just, and let's face it, the Vectric software is easy to learn how to draw in and how to model in. So if I'm going to be cutting it on the CNC router, I'll design it in Aspire. There are other things that I want a 3D representation of that I'm not going to be cutting on the CNC router, like this shop shed. I use SketchUp. SketchUp is very easy to learn how to use. There are literally millions of tutorials out there on how to use SketchUp. Excuse me. Sorry about that. One of the disadvantages of broadcasting from out here is subject to all the smoke we have from the fires in California. And it's been getting to everybody down here. Our air quality index yesterday, for those of you who are into that kind of thing, was 232. Okay. It's pretty bad. Right now, currently, the air quality index is 194. So, but anyway, I digress. Now see, I lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. Yes, SketchUp. If I want to do a 3D representation of something that I'm not cutting on the CNC, SketchUp's what I use. I don't know if you're familiar with Jay Bates or not. Most of you should be. But if you go to his YouTube channel, and you'll have to go back because it's been a long time since he did the videos. He has a series of SketchUp tutorials, and I mean, there's a lot of them, that is excellent. He's one of the best sources of tutorials for SketchUp that I've ever seen. Now, having said that, they're pretty old. So some of the stuff may be obsolete. Some of it may no longer be required, as I think it's Trimble has updated it and upgraded SketchUp. But if you want to learn how to use SketchUp, I highly recommend Jay Bates's tutorials. So let's see now. I think oh boy, we've been on for 50 minutes. Let's see. What CNC machine do I have? Blue Knight. I have a Gatton CNC. More on that later. In fact, if you want to look back, I have I believe it's 13 video series on me building the Gatton CNC. And one of the first videos from the new year, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to put it in, is going to be moving the CNC. I may get to it before I put the channel on hiatus. I don't know yet. I'm, fingers crossed, going to try to move the CNC next weekend. I've got to get the baseboards up and the trim in place, like for this electrical chase panel back here where the CNC is going to go, because it's going to be right here to my right. I'm going to be able to reach over like this and touch it that close. So I've got to coordinate with my nephews. Thank God I have family that lives just a few blocks away, and we should be able to move the CNC next weekend. What I'm going to do when we do that is I'm going to do a video on all the process that has to be gone through when you move a CNC. All the checks you need to do, because I'm going to have to go back and re-level. I'm going to have to be readjusting everything, because even though I'm only moving it 20 feet, It's going to be sitting on a completely different floor. It's going to have more room, thank God, and I'll be able to get all the way around it instead of like now. Yes, Lewis Denton, Lewis Denton saying try to do a video of the CNC move. I will be. I definitely am. That is one of the planned videos. I'm going to try to get it posted before I put it on hiatus, but it may be the first video after I come back after the new year. But there are a lot of things to consider when you're moving it, and there's a lot of things to do after you get it moved because it's in a new location. And with the wooden stand that it's on and everything, it's going to have to acclimate to this shop versus that shop. That shop has zero insulation. Humidity goes up and down with the ambient air. In here, I don't have that concern. I'm here to tell you this spray foam insulation, I highly, highly recommend it. It's expensive, but I highly recommend it. Lewis Denton says 10,000 years from now, archaeologists will be scratching their heads saying this cannot be a simple shop shed. Yes, it can. Believe me, there are more elaborate setups than what I have. I've just gotten to this is inside baseball, Lewis. You and me, just you and me talking here, okay? I have gotten to the age to where I'm tired of settling. And even if I'm doing something on a small scale, like a 12 by 16 shop, yeah, I could have slapped it together and with free materials off of Craigslist and, baling wired pallets together and used a dirt floor. But why? I'm tired of settling for it. I wanted something good. I wanted something nice. And after I'm gone, it's not my problem. It becomes my daughter's problem. If they want to tear it down, that's up to them. But I'm going to have something I can work in. So, I know it's selfish, but I'm 60 years old and I'm tired of settling. Okay. Peterson's Country Woodworking. Hey, Troy. Sorry, I've not watched you in a while. Oh, man. All right, I'll forgive you this time. However, do you use a laser much? If so, do you feel that a fan is wise to use at the same time? Thoughts? I don't have a laser anymore. I used to have a K40 laser. Using a fan at the same time, if you're talking about for smoke evacuation, yes. If you're talking about to keep you cool, sure, why not? If you're talking about, I really don't get. Okay, well, it's up to you. I don't see a downside to it unless you're concerned about scattering the laser beam. I don't think you can unless the laser's hitting the fan. So, okay. You guys we've got people dropping and people jumping out, and that's my signal. I need to wrap this up. Two things. Yeah, never mind. I graduated the next week, next Friday, and I have it written down here just so I'm not incorrect. Next Friday, the 10th of September at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, I will be participating and presenting in the 2021 Vectric user group meeting. It is going to be online again this year, like it was last year. There is a link in the description box of this video to Vectric's YouTube channel. Do yourself a favor, go over there, subscribe to their channel if you're not already a subscriber. Go to their website and click on the 2021 user group meeting page. They are in the process of getting the schedule up. They're publishing a schedule of all the presenters. They're slowly releasing the names, but the user group meeting technically it starts on Thursday the 9th and runs through Saturday the 11th. My presentation will be on Friday the 10th, but the full schedule will begin real early in the morning on September 9th, Thursday, this coming Thursday. So I hope to see you there. My alarm clock is going to be set to get me up at, dark early. Remember, these guys are in the UK. They're 8 hours ahead of me. And they're going to start broadcasting in the morning and have scheduled speakers and presenters all 3 days. They'll be doing some on their own. I'm going to be there. The folks from Avid CNC are going to be there. Too many presenters to count. Todd from Design and Make. It's a 3-day event. It's open to everybody through their YouTube channel. So next Sunday will be an open Q&A. We'll probably talk a lot about the user group meeting, but you can bring any questions that you'd like. The other one was Michael Mazalik's video, which starts in about an hour from now. There's a link to his video in the description of this video. I will be there. Hope to see you all there. So having taken care of that, I think I've got everything. Let's see. Yeah, I think I've got everything caught up. So sorry for the echo, for those of you who are getting a lot of echoing. This was, I think, a good shakedown for this place. If you have any comments, questions, concerns about anything out here, put them in the comment section. I read every comment. I don't have a chance to reply to every comment, but I do read every one of them. I also want to once again thank everybody who has watched my videos, who have shared my videos, who have come into the live streams, and who have hit those super chats and super stickers, and you folks who have used those donate links down in the description of all these videos, and everybody who's hit the donate button on my website. You guys are just absolutely amazing. You have no idea how much I truly appreciate you and how I appreciate your generosity. It just blows me away every time somebody does something like that. And I really, really appreciate it. It's been a heck of a year. It's been 13 months since I broke ground on this place. It's not done, but it's usable now. And it's all because of you guys. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. So I will see you over at Michael's video in about an hour. And I will see you next Friday on Vectric's YouTube channel at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Then I'll see you back here next Sunday, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Enjoy your Labor Day 3-day weekend. I'm retired, so every weekend's a 3-day weekend. I know, quit gloating. And y'all take care. Go do something cool.